Today I'm going to be talking about 5 role players who made a big impact in the NBA Finals over the last decade. From knockdown shooters to lockdown defenders to journeyman big men, these 5 role players all played a big part in the NBA Finals. Iguodala, 2015. In 2015, the Golden State Warriors went to their first of 5 NBA Finals in a row, and after 6 games, Iguodala would become the first player to win Finals MVP without having started every single game of the series, beating the Cavs' LeBron James, who averaged an insane 36 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists. Iggy came into the league in 2004 with the Philadelphia 76ers and was a decent player, averaging 9 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 3 assists, as well as 1.7 steals in his rookie year. His best scoring years were from 2006 to 2010, where he averaged above 17 points per game every year. In 2012, his last year with the Philadelphia 76ers, Iguodala was named an All-Star despite averaging less than 13 points per game. Then, he went to the Nuggets, where he spent 1 year before he was traded to the Warriors in a 3-team deal. Once on the Warriors, Iggy took a backseat to the big three of Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, never averaging more than 10 points per game, but focusing more on defense, averaging about a steal and a block a game. In the 2015 Finals, Iggy didn't start the first 3 games of this season, but impressively, he recorded a positive plus-minus in every single game of the series, despite the Warriors losing 2 of them. Also, in Game 6, the final game of the series, Iggy recorded an impressive stat line of 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists and 2 steals. But the main reason that Iggy won Finals MVP was his defense on LeBron James. This might seem ridiculous given that LeBron almost averaged 36 points per game, but Iggy forced him into bad shots all series, and per ESPN stats, LeBron shot 33% when guarded by Iggy. Iggy also really set the pace for the team, as shown by his incredible on-off numbers, with the Warriors' net rating of plus 17 falling to almost minus 9 per 48 minutes with Iguodala on the bench. Finally, Iggy really rose to the occasion for an inexperienced Warriors team at the time, as his numbers rose from 27 minutes, 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists per game in the regular season to 37 minutes, 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on 53% shooting from the field and 40% from 3 in the finals. Iggy would go on to win 2 more championships with the Warriors, as well as being blocked by James in 2016. He is now looking to add another championship with the Miami Heat. Mozgov, 2015. Staying in the series but moving to the other side of the floor and up a few inches, we go to former Cavs center Mozgov, who in the NBA Finals played the best basketball of his career. For those of you who don't know Mozgov, which is probably most of you, Mozgov is a 7'1" journeyman center who has career averages of 7 points and 5 rebounds. He entered the league in 2010 at the age of 24, and only lasted about 8 years. He's also the guy who got posterized by Blake Griffin twice. During the 2014-15 season, Mozgov was traded to the Cavs, where in 46 games he played the best of his career, putting up a respectable 10.5 points and 7 rebounds, along with over a block a game in 25 minutes a night. Then the playoffs came. Mozgov had a few okay games in the first few rounds, including a 15-point and 9-rebound performance in a win versus Chicago. Then the finals, and with injuries to All-Stars Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, there were more minutes and shots available to the Cavs supporting cast, Mozgov included. Mozgov played more than 29 minutes in 5 of the 6 finals games, with the only outlier coming in Game 5, where Mozgov played less than 10 minutes in a 13-point loss. The standout performance in the NBA Finals for Mozgov was in Game 4, where he posted an impressive 28 points and 10 rebounds. Amazing for a player who did not surpass 20 points the entire regular season. Sadly, this performance is not that impressive, as it did come in a 21-point loss. Overall, during the 2015 Finals, Mozgov averaged 14 points, 7.5 boards, and 1.5 blocks in 28 minutes, while shooting 55%. Great stats for a role player, especially in the NBA Finals. The next year, Mozgov would win a championship with the Cavs, playing a very small part. Then, in the summer of 2016, with the jump of the salary cap, Mozgov would sign an insane 4-year, $64 million deal with the Lakers, one of the worst contracts in NBA history. He was out of the league 2 years later. Fred VanVleet, 2019. Next up, we have the most recent example on this list. During the 2019 Finals between the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors, we saw the emergence of undersized combo guard Fred VanVleet Sr. VanVleet would play so well that he would even receive a Finals MVP vote. VanVleet would go undrafted in 2016 before joining the Raptors later that year. VanVleet struggled in his first 2 years in the league, not starting a single game as he averaged less than 9 points in both the seasons. In 2018-19, VanVleet saw a big jump across the board as he became an important rotation player for the Raptors, playing 27.5 minutes a game as he averaged 11 points and 5 assists per game. Then came the playoffs. For the first 2.5 rounds of the playoffs, VanVleet struggled, only scoring more than 10 points once in the first 15 games of the playoffs. He looked out of place, undersized, and nervous, but he never stopped believing in himself, and for the rest of the playoffs, he was amazing. His two standout games were Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Milwaukee, where he shot 7 for 9 from 3 in the most important game of the series, and the closeout Game 6 against the Warriors in the NBA Finals, where he had scored 22 points. Overall, in the 2019 NBA Finals, VanVleet would average 14 points per game in more than 30 minutes per game, while playing excellent defense and making a few huge shots. This was enough to garner him a Finals MVP vote and make him a Raptors legend forever. This season, in an even bigger role, VanVleet is excelling, averaging 17.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. He's now in line for a big contract this offseason, and if the Raptors are to win another NBA championship, he'll have to play an even bigger role than he did in 2019. Danny Green, 2013. Next up, we go to Fred VanVleet's teammate on the 2019 Raptors, Danny Green, for his performance in the infamous 2013 Finals, where Danny Green's Spurs lost to the Big Three Miami Heat, or the Heatles. Danny Green was drafted in the second round of the 2009 draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers, where he would only play 1 season, averaging 2 points per game. He joined the Spurs, where he would only play 8 games the following season. Green's breakthrough would come in the 2011-12 season, where he would play all 66 games in the lockout year, where he would make a name for himself by being an excellent three-point shooter, shooting 43.6% on 3.5 attempts per game. He had also proved to be a great defender. He ended up averaging 9 points per game that season, but the Spurs were knocked out by the Thunder in the playoffs. In the 2012-13 season, Green continued his excellent shooting 43% from 3 on more than 5 attempts per game. He also continued to be a great defender, averaging 1.2 steals a game. In the 2013 playoffs, the Spurs were dominant, losing only 2 games as they walked to the finals and a matchup against the Miami Heat. Green played well with 2 16-point games and a 22-point 3-steal, 2-block performance against the Warriors, where he played 44 minutes in a 2-point win. For the first 5 games of the finals, Green played amazing. In the first 5 games, Green averaged 18 points and 4 rebounds, along with a block and a half as he shot 66% from 3 on more than 7.5 attempts per game. If Ray Allen had not hit the famous shot, Danny Green would have likely won Finals MVP. But Ray Allen did hit that shot, and the Heat won in overtime, and the Heat also won Game 7, and LeBron James won Finals MVP. Green would win an NBA championship the next season with the Spurs, but fellow lockdown defender Kawhi Leonard would win Finals MVP. Green would play 4 more seasons with the Spurs, being named to an all-defensive second team in 2016-17. In 2018, Green was traded to the Raptors as part of the Kawhi trade, where he would win a second NBA championship. Green is now part of the Lakers, looking to add a third championship. Though it may be forgotten, Green will always be one three-pointer away from being a Finals MVP. Jason Terry, 2011. Finally, we go back to the 2011 Finals, where the underdog Dallas Mavericks were taking on the newly formed Miami Heat Big Three. The Mavs would end up shocking the world and beating the Heat in 6 games, as LeBron did not rise to the occasion and Dirk Nowitzki did, pushing aside the notion that he was a choke artist and grabbing the Finals MVP. And while Dirk deservingly won Finals MVP and got most of the credit, he was helped by a solid supporting cast and a sharpshooter named Jason Terry. Terry, a small and explosive offensive-minded combo guard, was drafted to the Atlanta Hawks in 1999, where he would play 5 seasons, averaging 16 points, 5.5 assists, and 3 rebounds, and 1.5 steals, as he was a great three-point shooter, shooting over 37% on more than 4 attempts a game in 3 of the 5 seasons. He would then move to the Mavericks, where he would spend the next 8 seasons, averaging very similar numbers to the one in Atlanta, but coming off the bench for the last 5 years. He would play a big part in the championship-winning season that would be 2010-11, where at the age of 33 he really helped the Mavs and Dirk. Through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, Terry would play well, averaging 17 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, and 1 steal while coming off the bench. His 3-point shooting numbers were also great, shooting 46% from 3 on 4.5 attempts per game, as the Mavs advanced to the finals by beating the Blazers in 6, then sweeping the Lakers, then beating the Thunder in 6. Terry would continue to play great off the bench in the finals, as the Mavs would upset the Big Three Heat in 6. Terry would average 18 points per game, while shooting 50% from the field and 40% from 3. Impressive for a 33-year-old small guard. He made a big impact in the finals and was probably the Mavs' second best player after Dirk. Terry would have 2 more good seasons in the NBA, averaging 15 points with the Mavs and 10 with the Celtics. He would retire 5 seasons later at the age of 40, as he will forever be remembered for his excellent shooting in the 2011 finals.